winter morning more than 40 years ago. Consider the kitchen in a spreading old house in a country town. A big black stove is its main feature, but there's a big round table and a fireplace with 2 rocking chairs placed in front of it. Just this afternoon, the fireplace commenced its seasonal roar. A woman with shorn white hair stands at the kitchen window. She wears a shapeless gray sweater over a summery calico dress. Wears tennis shoes. She's small and sprightly like a bantam hen, but her shoulders are pitifully hunched due to a youthful illness. But her face is remarkable, not unlike Lincoln's, craggy like that, and tinted by sun and wind. Her eyes are sherry-colored and timid. "Oh my!" she exclaims, her breath smoking the window pane. "It's fruitcake weather." The person she's addressing is myself. I'm 7 years old. She's 60-something. We're cousins, very distant ones, and we've lived together for as far back as I can remember. There are others in the house too, relatives, and though they have power over us and frequently make us cry, we're not on the whole too much aware of them. We're each other's best friend. She calls me Buddy in memory of a boy who was formerly her best friend. The other Buddy died in the 1880s when she was still a child. She's still a child. "I knew it before I got out of bed," she exclaims, turning from the window with an enthusiasm in her face. "The courthouse bells sounded so cold and clear, and there are no birds singing. They have all gone to warmer country, yes indeed. Oh, Buddy, stop stuffing biscuit and fetch your buggy. Help me find my hat." It's always the same. A morning in November, and my friend, as though officially inaugurating the Christmas time of year that exhilarates her imagination and fuels the blaze in her heart, announces, "It's fruitcake weather, fetch the buggy, help me find my hat." The hat is found. A straw cartwheel corsage with velvet roses out of doors has faded and once belonged to a more fashionable relative. We guide our buggy, a dilapidated baby carriage, down through the yard and into a grove of pecan trees. The buggy is mine. That is, it was bought for me when I was born. It's made of wicker, rather unraveled, and the wheels wobble like a drunkard's legs, but it is a faithful object. In the springtime, we take it out into the woods and fill it with flowers and herbs and wild ferns for our porch pots. In the summer, we pack it with picnic paraphernalia and sugarcane fishing poles, molded down to the edge of the creek. It has its wintertime uses too, as a truck for hauling firewood from the yard and into the kitchen, and as a bed for our tough orange and white rat terrier, Queenie, who survived distemper and 2 rattlesnake bites. Oh, Queenie trots alongside it now. 3 hours later, we are back in the kitchen, hauling a heaping buggy load of windfall pecans. How hard they were to find, the main crop having been shaken off the trees by the orchard's owners, who were not us. Underneath concealing leaves and frosted, deceiving grass. Crackle, cheery crunch. Scraps of miniature thunder sound as the shells collapse and the sweet, oily ivory meat mounts in the milk glass bowl. Queenie keeps begging for a taste. Now and then my friend sneaks her a mite, though insists we deprive ourselves. Honestly, Buddy, if we start, we won't be able to stop. Scarcely enough as there is for 30 cakes. Dusk turns the window into a mirror, and our reflections mingle with the rising moon as we work by the fireside in the firelight. At last, when the moon is quite high, we toss the final hull into the fire, and with joined sighs, watch it catch flame. We eat our supper, biscuits, bacon, blackberry jam, and discuss tomorrow. Tomorrow, the kind of work I like best begins. Buying cherries and citron and canned wine, pineapple, rinds, raisins, whiskey, walnuts, so much butter, sugar, flour, spices, flavorings. We're going to need a pony to pull the buggy home. But before these purchases can be made, there is a question of money. Neither of us has any. Apart from skinflint sums that persons in the house occasionally provide, a dime is considered very big money. Or what we earn ourselves through various activities. Holding rummage sales, selling buckets of hand-picked blackberries, apple jam, peach preserves, picking flowers for funerals and for weddings. Once, we won $5 in a national football contest. Not that either of us knows a full thing about football. We just enter any contest we hear about. Right now, our hope is winning a $50,000 prize for naming a brand of coffee. We suggested AM, and after a little hesitation, for my friend thought it perhaps sacrilegious, the slogan AM, Amen. Truth be told, our only really profitable enterprise was a fun and freak museum we held in the backyard woodshed 2 summers ago. The fun was a stereopticon with slide views of New York and Washington State that had been taken by a relative who had visited those places. She was furious when she found out what we used them for. The freak was a 3-legged bitty hen hatched by one of our own hens. Oh, everybody wanted to see that chick. We charged grown-ups a nickel and kids 2 cents and took in a good $20 before the museum was forced to close due to the decease of its main attraction. But one way or another, we do always accumulate Christmas savings. A fruitcake fund. And these monies we keep in an ancient bead purse under a loose floorboard, under the chamber pot, under my friend's bed. Now, this purse seldom comes out of its secret location except to make a deposit, or on Saturdays a withdrawal. For on Saturdays I'm allowed 10 cents to go to the picture show. My friend has never been to the picture show, nor does she intend to. I'd rather hear you tell me the story, buddy. That way I can imagine it more. Besides, a woman my age shouldn't squander their eyes. When the Lord comes, let me see him clear. Apart from never having been to a picture show, my friend has never eaten in a restaurant, traveled more than 5 miles from home, sent or received a telegram, worn cosmetics, read anything but the funny papers in the Bible, swore, told a lie on purpose, or let a hungry dog go hungry. But here are some of the things she has done, does do. Killed with a hoe the largest rattlesnake I ever saw in this county. 16 rattles. Dip snuff, secretly. Tame hummingbirds, just try it, till they balance on her finger. Tell ghost stories, we both believe in ghosts. So tingling they chill you in July. Take walks in the rain, talk to herself. Grow the prettiest japonicas in town. And knows the recipe for every old-time Indian cure, including a magical wart remover. Now, with supper finished, we retreat to a room in a faraway part of the house where my friend sleeps, in a scrap quilt-covered bed painted rose pink, her favorite color. Silently, wallowing in the pleasures of conspiracy, we take the bead purse from its hidden location and we spill its contents out onto the scrap quilt. Dollar bills rolled up and green as Maybuds. Somber 50-cent pieces, heavy enough to weight a dead man's eyes. Lovely dimes, the liveliest coin, the one that really jingles. Nickels and quarters worn smooth as creek pebbles. But mostly, a hateful heap of bitter-odored pennies. Last summer, persons in the house contracted to pay us 1 penny for every 25 flies we killed. Oh, the carnage of August! But this was not work with which we took pride. And as we sit counting pennies, it's as though we're back tabulating dead flies. Neither of us has a head for figures. We count slowly, lose track, count again. According to my friend, we have $12.73. According to my calculations, $13. I do hope you're wrong about that, buddy. We can't go messing around with 13. The cakes will fall. Or send someone into the cemetery. Why, I wouldn't imagine getting out of bed on the 13th. Which is true. My friend spends 13ths in bed. So, to be on the safe side, we subtract a penny and throw it out the window. Of all the ingredients that go in our fruitcakes, whiskey is the most expensive, as well as the hardest to obtain. State law forbids its sale, but everybody knows you can always buy a bottle from Mr. Ha-Ha Jones. So, the next day, having finished our more prosaic shopping, we head down to his place of business, a sinful, to quote public opinion, fish fry and dancing cafe down by the river. Now, we've been to this place before and on the same errand, but in previous dealings, we'd always met with Mr. Ha-Ha's wife, an iodine dark Indian woman with brassy peroxide hair and a dead tired disposition. I don't think we've ever laid eyes on her husband, though we understand he's a giant, an Indian too. A giant with razor scars on both his cheeks. They call him Ha-Ha because he's so gloomy, a man who never laughs. And as we approach his cafe, a log cabin festooned inside and out with garish, gay, naked light bulbs, sitting at the river's muddy edge in the shade of river trees, where the moss weaves through the branches like a gray mist. Our steps slow down. Even Queenie stops prancing and sticks close by. People have been murdered in Ha-Ha's cafe. Cut to pieces. Hit in the head. There's a case coming up in court just next month. Of course, these goings-on always happen at night, when the lights cast crazy patterns in the Victrola whales. During the day, the cafe is shabby-looking and deserted. I knock on the door. Queenie barks. My friend calls out, "Mrs. Ha-Ha, ma'am, anyone to home?" Footsteps. The door opens. Our hearts overturn. It is Mr. Ha-Ha Jones himself. And he is a giant. And he does have scars. And he doesn't smile, no. He stares at us through sick and tilted eyes and demands to know what you want with Ha-Ha. For a moment, we're too paralyzed to tell. My friend finds her voice, a half-whispered voice at best. "We would like a pint of your finest whiskey." His eyes tilt more. Would you believe it? He's smiling, laughing too. "Which one of you is the drinking man?" "It's for fruitcakes, Mr. Ha-Ha. Cooking?" This sobers him. He frowns. That's no way to waste good whiskey. But nevertheless, he retreats into the cafe and seconds later returns carrying an unlabeled bottle of daisy yellow liquor. He demonstrates its sparkle in the sun and says $2. Well, we began to pay him with nickels and dimes and pennies. And suddenly, as he's holding those coins in his hand, jingling them like dice, he says, "Tell you what," and pours the coins back into our bead purse. "Why don't you just give me one of those fruitcakes instead?"
No.
Well, my friend remarks on our way home, that is a lovely man. Put an extra cup of raisins in his cup. The stove, stoked with coal and firewood, blazes like a lighted pumpkin. Egg beaters whirl and spoons spin in bowls of butter and sugar. Vanilla sweetens the air, ginger spices it. Mouth-watering, nose-tingling odors suffuse the kitchen, saturate the house, and go out in the world in puffs of chimney smoke. 4 days later, our work is complete. 31 fruitcakes bask on windowsills and shelves. Who are they for? Friends. Not necessarily neighbor friends. Indeed, a larger share are intended for people we've met only once. Maybe not at all. People we've admired. President Roosevelt. The Reverend and Mrs. J.C. Lucy, Baptist missionaries to Borneo, who lectured here last winter. The little knife grinder who comes through town twice a year. Or Arbor Packer, the driver of the 6 o'clock bus to Mobile, who exchanges waves with us each day as he passes in a dust cloud whoosh. Or the young Weistons, a California couple. Their car broke down outside the house one afternoon, and they spent a lovely hour talking with us on the porch. Young Mr. Weiston snapped her picture, the only one we've ever had taken. Is it because my friend is shy with everyone except strangers, that these strangers and nearest acquaintances seem to us our closest friends? I think yes. That and thank you notes on White House stationery, time-to-time communication from California or Borneo, or the knife grinder's penny postcards make us feel connected to a world beyond the kitchen with a view that stops. A December fig branch grates against the kitchen window. The kitchen is empty. We took the rest of the fruitcakes down to the post office where the cost of stamps turned our purse inside out. That rather depresses me. But my friend insists on celebrating with 2 inches of whiskey left in Ha-Ha's bottle. We give a spoonful to Queenie and a bowl of coffee. She likes her coffee chicory flavor and strong. The rest we split between 2 jelly glasses. We are both quite awed at the prospect of drinking straight whiskey, the taste of which brings up sour shudders and screwed up expressions. But by and by, we began to sing 2 songs simultaneously. I can't remember the words to mine. Just come on along to the Darktime Strutters ball. But I can dance. That's what I mean to be a tap dancer in the movies. My shadow rollicks across the walls. Our voices rock the chinaware, and we giggle as if unseen hands are tickling us. Corey rolls on her back. Her paws plow the air, and something like a smile spreads across her black lips. And I feel as warm and crumbly as those logs in the fire. As free as the smoke in the chimney. And my friend pinches her poor calico skirt in her hand like it's a party dress. Show me the way to go. Her tennis shoes squeaking on the kitchen floor. Show me the way to go home. Enter 2 relatives, very angry, with tongues that scald and eyes that scold. Listen to their words as they tumble together in a wrathful tune. A child of 7? Whiskey on his breath? Are you out of your mind? Feeding a child of 7. There must be a loony. You remember Cousin Kate? Uncle Charlie? Uncle Charlie's brother-in-law? Shame, scandal, humiliation. Kneel, beg the Lord. Queenie scoots off around the stove. My friend looks down, her chin trembles, and she blows her nose on her poor skirt and runs off into her room. And long after, the town is asleep, and the house is silent except for the chimings of clocks and the sputtering of fading fires, my friend cries into a pillowcase already as wet as a widow's handkerchief. Don't cry, I say, sitting down at the edge of her bed and shivering despite wearing a flannel nightgown that still smells of last winter's cough syrup. Don't cry, I say, tickling her toes. You're much too old for that. It's because, she hiccups, I am too old. Old and funny. Not funny. Fun. You're more fun than anybody. Besides, if you don't stop crying, you're going to be too tired tomorrow and we can't go and cut a tree. She straightens up. Queenie hops up on the bed, where Queenie is not allowed, and licks her cheeks. I know where we can go, buddy. Find holly, too, with berries big as your eyes. It's way off in the woods, farther than we've ever been. Papa used to get our trees from there, carry them home on his shoulder. That was 50 years ago. Well now, I can't wait till morning. Morning. Rime lusters the frozen grass. The sun is round as an orange, and as orange as 2 hot weather moons balances on the horizon, burnishes the silvered winter woods. Somewhere a wild turkey calls. A renegade hog grunts in the underbrush. Soon we have to abandon our buggy at a river with rapid, knee-deep water. Queenie wades in first, barking complaints at the swiftness of the current, the pneumonia-making coldness of it. We follow with our shoes and our supplies, a hatchet and burlap sack over our head. A mile more of chastising thorns, of burrs and bridles that catch in our clothes, of rusty pine needles brilliant with gaudy fungus and molted feathers. Here, there, a flash, a flutter, an ecstasy of shrillings remind us that not all birds have flown south. And always through lemony sun pools and pitch-black vine tunnels. Another creek to cross. An armada of trout froth the water around this. Frogs the size of pancakes practice their belly flops. A beaver workman builds a dam. And on that further shore, Queenie shakes herself and trembles, and my friend trembles too, but not of coldness, but of enthusiasm. Her hat loses a ragged petal as she lifts up her chin and inhales the pine-heavy air. Can you smell it, buddy? As if we're approaching an ocean. And indeed, it is a kind of ocean. Acres and acres of holiday trees and holly. Berries as red as Chinese bells. Black crows swoop upon them screaming. Now, once we filled up our sacks with enough crimson and greenery to trim a dozen meters, we set about choosing a tree. A tree should be, muses my friend, twice as tall as a boy. That way, a boy can't steal the star. Indeed, the tree we pick out is twice as tall as me. A brave brute that survives 30 hatchet strokes before keeling with a rending, creaking cry. Hauling it out like a kill, we commenced the long trek out, and had to stop every few yards to pant. But we have the strength of returning huntsmen. That and the tree's virile, icy perfume revives us, goads us on. Many compliments accompany our return on the red clay road into town. But my friend is sly and non-committal when passers-by appreciate the treasure perched in our buggy. Where did you get such a lovely tree? Yonder ways, she murmurs vaguely. Once a car stops, and the rich mill owner's lazy wife leans out and says, "I'll give you 2 bits for that old tree." Now, normally my friend would be afraid to say no, but on this occasion she promptly replied, "We wouldn't take $1." $1, my foot! 50 cents! Goodness, woman, you can always find another. To which my friend reflected, I doubt it. There's never 2 of anything. Home. Queenie lies down by the stove and sleeps till morning, snoring loud as a human. In the attic, there's a chest with some ermine tails, taken off an opera coat of a woman that once rented a room in the house. Coils of frazzled tinsel gone gold with age. A dilapidated rope of undoubtedly dangerous candy-like light bulbs. Excellent decorations as far as they go, which is not far enough. My friend wants our tree to blaze like a Baptist window. But we can't afford the made-in-Japan splendors of the 5 and dime. So, we do what we've always done. Sit for days at the kitchen table with crayons and scissors and stacks of colored paper. I make sketches and my friend cuts them out. Some cats. Fish, because they're easy to draw. Apples and watermelons. We fashion some angels out of saved up sheets of Hershey bar tinfoil. Pin our creations under the tree using safety pins. And as a finishing touch, we cover the branches with some shredded cotton picked in August for this purpose. Standing back to survey the effect, my friend clasps her hands. Honestly, buddy, isn't that just good enough to eat? Queenie tries to eat an angel. Well, after ribboning and weaving enough holly to trim all the front windows, we set about making the family gifts. Some tie-dyed scarves for the ladies, and for the men, a home-brewed lemon and licorice and aspirin syrup, to be taken at the first sign of a cold, and after hunting. When it comes time to make each other's gift, we separate to work secretly. I would like to buy her a pearl-handled knife, or a radio, or a whole pound of chocolate-covered cherries. We had some once, and she always swears, I could live on them, buddy. Lord, yes, I could. I'm not taking his name in vain. But instead, I'm making her a kite. She'd like to buy me a bicycle. And she's told me on several million occasions, if only I could, buddy, buy you a bike. It's bad enough to go through life without getting something you want, but confound it, what gets my goat is not being able to give someone something you want them to have. One day I will, buddy. Get you a bike. Don't ask me how. Steal it, maybe. But instead, I'm pretty sure she's making me a kite. Same as last year. And the year before that, we exchanged slingshots. All of which is fine by me. Oh, my friend and I are champion kite flyers. My friend, more experienced than I, can get a kite aloft when there's not enough wind to carry clouds. Christmas Eve afternoon, we scrape together a nickel and head down to the butcher's to get Queenie her traditional gift, a good novel beef bone. We wrap it up in funny paper and we put it up on the branch right underneath the star. Oh, Queenie knows it's there. She stares up at it in a trance of greed. When bedtime comes, she refuses to budge. Her enthusiasm is matched by my own. Oh, I toss and turn and kick the covers like it is a scorching summer's night. Somewhere, a rooster crows falsely, for the sun is still on the other side of the world. My friend calls, "Buddy, you awake?" And a moment later, she's sitting at the edge of my bed holding a candle. My mind is jumping like a jackrabbit. I can't sleep a hoot. Do you think Mrs. Roosevelt will serve our cake at dinner? We huddle up close and she holds my hand. I love you. Your hands used to be so much smaller. Guess I don't like the idea of you growing up. When you grow up, will we still be friends? Always, I say. Buddy, I wanted so bad to buy that bicycle for you. I tried to sell the cameo Papa gave me. Buddy, she hesitates, so embarrassed. I made you another kite. And then I tell her I made her a kite too, and we laugh. Presently, the candle grows too short to hold. Out it goes, exposing the stars. The starlight spins in the window like a visible caroling that slowly daybreak silences. Perhaps we doze, but the dawn splashes us awake like cold water. We are wide-eyed and wandering while we wait for the rest of the house to waken. My friend quite deliberately drops her kitchen kettle on the kitchen floor, and I start to tap dance outside of closed doors. And one by one, the house emerges, looking like they'd like to murder us both. But it's Christmas, so they can't. But first, a lovely breakfast with everything you could possibly imagine, from flapjacks to fried squirrel to hominy grits and honey in the comb. This puts everyone in a better humor. Except my friend and me. We are so anxious to get at those presents, we can't eat a mouthful. Well, I'm disappointed. Who wouldn't be? With a Sunday school shirt, some socks, a handkerchief, a hand-me-down sweater, and a year's subscription to a religious magazine for children, The Little Shepherd. It makes my blood boil. It really does. My friend has a better haul, a sack of satsumas. That's her best present. She's proudest, however, of a white wool shawl knitted by her married sister. She says her favorite present is the kite I made her, which is beautiful, but not as beautiful as the one she made me. It's painted blue, and covered with gold and green good conduct stars. Moreover, my name is on it, Buddy. Buddy, there's a wind blowing. There is a wind blowing, and nothing will do until we've gone down to the pasture down below the house, where Queenie scooted off to bury her bone, and where a year hence Queenie will be buried too. And rushing through the waist-high, healthy grass, we unspool our kites and feel them tug at the string like skyfish as they swim into the sun. Sun-drenched, satisfied, we sprawl in the grass and we peel satsumas and we watch as our kites cavort. Pretty soon I forgot about the Sunday school shirt and the hand-me-down sweater. And I'm as happy as though we had already won that $50,000 coffee making contest. Oh my friend exclaims, suddenly alert like a woman who remembered too late she left biscuits in the oven. You know what I always thought? I always thought a body would have to be sick and dying before it saw the Lord. And that seeing him would be like looking at a Baptist window, pretty as painted glass with sun pouring through. Such a shine you wouldn't even feel it getting dark. And it's been a comfort, thinking about a shine that takes away all the spooky feeling. But I'll wager it doesn't happen. I'll wager at the very end, a body knows that what they've seen was already the Lord. That things as they are, her hand gestures to circle the clouds and the kites and the grass and Queenie bearing her bone. What they've always seen was seeing him. Well, I could leave the world with today in my eyes. And that was our last Christmas together. Life separates us. Those who know best decide, I belong in military school. So what proceeds is a miserable succession of bugle-blowing prisons, grim, reveille-ridden summer camps. I have a new home, too, but it doesn't count. Home is where my friend is, and there I never go. And there she remains alone with Queenie, then alone. Buddy dear, she writes in her wild, hard-to-read script. Jim Macy's horse kicked Queenie real bad. Be grateful she didn't feel much. I wrapped her up in a fine linen sheet and I took her down to Simpson's pasture where she can be with all her bones. For a few Novembers, she continues to make fruitcakes single-handed. Not as many, but some. Of course, I always get the best of the batch. And in each letter, a dime wadded up in toilet paper. Go to the picture show. Tell me the story. More and more she confuses me with the other buddy, the one who died in the 1880s. And more, 13ths are not the only day that she can't get out of bed. And one birdless, leafless, coming of winter morning, she can't rouse herself to exclaim, oh my, it's fruitcake weather. And when that happens, I know it. A message saying so merely confirms a piece of information some secret vein had already received. Severing from myself an irreplaceable part of me. A kite loosed on a broken string. And that's why, walking across the campus on this particular December morning, I keep looking up at the sky, as though I expected to see, rather like hearts, a lost pair of kites hurrying toward heaven.